Hello, I'm Tania Rowland and I'm a mentor, strategist and teacher, and I would love to give you the skills and resources to help you design your super life. And so today I'm really excited to have Sarah Hart chatting with me from sarahhart.ca. Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
Hello. And so Sarah's a branding expert, and I have worked with Sarah on one of her programs that we're going to talk about at the end, which is called the Brand Mapping Method. But I've been following Sarah for a wee while, and I've been joining her webinars and her training programs, and I've just been loving to see Sarah's journey. So that's why I'm very excited to be able to chat with Sarah and for her to share with us her story and give us some bits of wisdom from her own perspective. So Sarah, thank you for taking the time. I'm really glad we're going to be able to chat today.
I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be so much fun.
It is going to be fun. And I know you quite often start your sessions with a dance party, which we're not going to do today, only because sometimes we get told off when we play music online. But I, even before we jump into your story, because I'm going to go a little bit random here. I know that's a very powerful thing for many reasons when we use music. Just why do you start your sessions with music?
Oh my goodness. Well, it just, brings the energy to where you want it to be, right? Like, especially like if you're nervous too. Like I do a lot of webinars, but I still get nervous. So it's mostly for me. I'm like, okay, we'll get this all out. Like I remember before my first webinar ever, I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, I have to dance before this. And so now I just started to dance live in front of people. So I think it's just good and people have fun. And I found too, like just people love little things like that. People love when you just show who you are and you don't care.
Yeah, I agree. But I think more the point is you do it for you because we do whatever we have to in life to make things feel good and to be our best when we turn up. So yeah, I love seeing you do that, and I see the comments from your attendees how much they're loving it. So it's fantastic. So before we jump into more questions, Sarah, why don't you introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit about your story before we bounce backwards and forwards?
Yeah. So I'm a brand expert, but before that, I was working as a website designer. And actually, way before I started even doing webinars like that, it's so funny because if I ever thought that I would be doing, interviews with you or like live webinars for thousands of people, I would die because I was like the shyest person when I was younger, I was the shyest girl in school. And I actually had like lots of anxiety growing up. I remember being, in high school and eating alone in the bathroom because I was so shy and I didn't have a lot of friends because I had a hard time with people. And, I remember in university, I actually failed classes because I had such bad anxiety that I wouldn't show up and I would just would never offer my opinion because I didn't feel like what I had to say had any value. I thought everything I had to say was stupid. And even when I started working as a website designer for like agencies, I would go into like a cold sweat when I had to talk in front of people because I would sometimes freeze up and sometimes I couldn't even speak. So for a long time, my life was not where I wanted to be. I felt really kind of stuck in my anxiety, and I'll never forget it. But it was like at 3 a.m. I had to work the next morning for my job. And my 9 to 5 job, and I just couldn't sleep because I had such terrible anxiety. And I just remember I had this wave of calm wash over me, and out of nowhere, I just had this thought that was like, I'm going to quit tomorrow. Like, I'm going to quit. This is it, and I'm going to change my life because this is not working. And so I did. I walked into my job. I think I actually started laughing, because it was just so funny that I was like, oh my God, I can actually make a change. I don't have to be stuck in this. And so I walked into my boss's office next day and I quit. And I actually went backpacking by myself and I started my first business. And then from there, I remember going to like my first networking event. Like for me as like a shy person, the idea of going and talking to strangers, right? I couldn't talk to like people I knew, let alone like strangers. So for me, that was such a terrifying experience, but I couldn't, from that courage that I got from quitting, I kind of was like, okay, like especially doing business, I found that it made me feel a little bit more confident than I usually was. Like kind of felt like a superhero cape. I know you talk about the superhero as well, but that's exactly how it felt. It felt like, oh my, okay, this Sarah's a little bit more confident. Like Sarah with a business is a little bit more confident than regular Sarah. So I went to the networking event and I actually talked to people. I learned to actually, share. I know how to share my voice, and from there I started my blog, which was another big scary thing. But the idea like terrified me. But again, putting on that superhero cape and I just remembered too, I started blogging and I got my first comment and I deleted it instantly because I didn't like the idea of people reading what I had online. So for me, it was just like this evolution of, okay, I'm going to do scary things after scary thing. And it's not only growing my business, right? It's growing, me personally. Just a few weeks ago, I did my first talk. I was asked to be a speaker at an event. That's I can't believe that even happened. So now I have this business where I'm interviewing, I'm doing webinars, I'm teaching courses, and it's just amazing because through my business I've been able to grow and change from that shy girl to where I am now. So that's sort of my background.
I love it. And the thing is, I know this having been on my own journey, that when people see us, like where someone sees you where you are now, it all just sounds so easy. And I know that when you're in that place where things just don't feel right, you might be doing well, because I know for me on the outside, I was ticking all the boxes, but I still didn't feel like I was doing what was good for me and what was right for me. And so I'm just curious, you've got this night where you're thinking, I'm going to resign tomorrow. Have there been a build up or a thinking of, I want to do more, or just this isn't right for me, and whatever it is, I have to make a change?
Yeah, exactly. Like those two things. I felt so, I think it was actually a good thing though, because it was so bad that there was no other way. You know what I mean? It was it was a blessing, it's great that it was so uncomfortable because, if it wasn't, then I would still be in that job. You know what I mean? And the thing was, I knew I was meant for so much more. I remember waiting for weekends to do my creative work and just being exhausted and not having the time to do it, and thinking, oh my God, I have to go back to work. It's already Sunday and I've only worked for an hour on this big project I wanted to do. So it's I need to give that space. I need to take this leap and trust myself. So it was huge leap of faith. For sure.
Yeah, I think it is a leap of faith, but we know that we're driven by pain or pleasure. So for you, the pain got so bad that you had to make a decision. And I agree with you. Sometimes when we avoid that voice in us or that feeling, then we just delay it for years. We delay the inevitable because it doesn't go away. So you, even though from maybe an outside's perspective, being more of an introvert, sometimes I'm not a huge extrovert, but I'm an extrovert. So over the years, I have wrongly assumed an introvert may be not as brave, which is totally not true, because you did the bravest thing that, a lot of people I'm sure go, I wish I could do that. But you just decided to do it, knowing whatever happened, it was right for you and you needed to trust your instinct. And from there, you got rewarded by continuing, like you said, action upon action. That's the thing. I mean, that's what I'm wondering. Did you have a plan, or did you just keep going? Where's the next thread? What do I do next? Just keep moving forward.
Yeah. And it's I think it's so special when you can. Oh, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. What I was going to say about that. Can you just repeat the last part? Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm wondering whether did you have a plan of I need to do this, or did you just start with something and then as things come up, you followed the thread of whatever seemed right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so, you don't know, right? When you jump, you're kind of floating and just hoping you're caught. That's what I wanted to say too, is that you always get caught. I think that's really interesting, is when you jump, especially if you're brave like that, something magical will happen and catch you. But yeah, no, I never knew what, actually it's really funny because about the time a little bit after I quit my job, someone had even told me, I was talking to a friend about e-courses. We were talking about Marie Forleo's B-School, and she's like, you should do that about design. I remember thinking, I don't ever want to do that. That's how, I don't want to work with people all over the world. That sounds weird to me. But it's funny that she had mentioned it then, but now that's what I do. And it's and then it didn't even connect with me. So it's more about those little steps that get you to where you are. You cannot, you can't plan your whole journey. One, that would be boring. You know what I mean? It's more interesting to just take the next step. Okay, what's scary? What feels like the next brave thing I can do?
Yeah, I love that. And just as a note on B School, for those that are listening, you don't know B School, I'll put a note in the text about that, because I suspect that's where I came across you, Sarah, was in B School, which is a program I did. And so I think you make a really good point, because I know for me, because I've been on this journey and I'm about to make another big shift. And so, I'm learning listening to you, because I'm someone that's a bit of a perfectionist and a control freak. I'm a planner. I'm good at project planning. So I want to plan ahead. But the biggest lesson I've learned is, yes, I think you need to know what you want and where you want to go, but not the little details. You can't plan that out. You actually have to take action. It's having momentum and actually moving as things come your way and that feel right at the time. And I think that's the other thing, is the feeling. Listening and feeling is, the intuition. Do you think you're intuitive, or do you think your intuitive skill has grown as you listen to yourself more?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's actually grown so much now that it's so easy to make decisions. It's I just need to check in. And if it's fear that I don't like, if it's, I can feel the fear. And if it's only fear that's stopping me from doing something, I have to do it. Okay. And then you could do these little check-ins, and I think you do grow it. I think I've been growing it kind of unintentionally for years and years, because I've been, okay, this is what my fear is telling me, but I'm going against it and trusting my instincts. So I think you're totally right on that one.
Yeah. But I think the other thing, and this is what I'm just loving listening to you talk, is you've learned to ask yourself good questions. Because I think so often we ask ourselves the wrong questions that give us the wrong answer. So that question of, is this fear, and actually acknowledging the feelings we're having and identifying them and saying, look, is this actually my good brain giving me some common sense that actually I might need to seek counsel or to work this through, or is it just fear? And then that's not a reason not to do it. Because the more you step into fear, and I mean, they sound like cliches, but it's so true. The more you just go, I can do this. And it's not the reason not to do it. It's then, therefore, because your dream or your desire is bigger than just fear. Because if we live with fear, life sucks. If that's that's why we feel unhappy and frustrated. And yeah.
Absolutely. And it's funny too, sometimes you need someone else to remind you too. Because I remember I was actually thinking about doing a big project, and it was going to be a big investment. And I was talking to a good friend of mine, and she's like, are you doing this because other people are doing it and you feel like you have to? Or are you doing it because you're excited? And I thought about it, and I was like, oh my God, you're so smart. I'm excited. This is not because I'm looking at other people and thinking I have to do it. This is because I would love to do this.
Yeah.
So that's it, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's good when you have good friends around you that ask good questions, because so often I really notice that, it's true that when they give advice, they're giving it from their own perspective or their own fears. But when you have a good friend like that that's actually just giving you good questions, then you make good decisions.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I can imagine too. Some people probably have lots of their own fears that they project, right? You got to make sure.
Yeah. And I
right?
think once you know that, you realize as soon as someone says something, you in your head can go, that's their fear. It's not me. And therefore step away, because they're not going to help me in this moment. They're not the right person for where I need to go. There might be a good friend, but they're not the right person for this sort of counsel or advice. So it's good to know, those friends. But it's funny that you say, you remember that moment when somebody asks you a good question and instantly inside you go, good question. And I think the more we do that, like you say, the better we get at making good decisions, because I think that's part of the challenge. I have made decisions over time where I laid out, my Benjamin Franklin list, my ABs, and I looked at the pros and cons, this is what I do. And I still made bad decisions, and they seemed good at the time, but on reflection, I could see that I hadn't considered how I felt and the fear and what was good for me. It was what's good for everyone else and what will I make good money and, lay it all out, but not actually what do I want? Just that question. What do I want versus all of that?
And it's a lot simpler list than the AB list. It's just one question.
Just what do I want? Or does it feel good? Or is this right for me right now? Or, just better questions. But so, that's what I just, like you say, it's maybe not been so conscious, but when you reflect back, you've just gone from strength to strength and you get better at making good choices and you're designing a super life. It's brilliant. I love
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. We're not going to, jump right. We'll wait to the end to really share your course. But I'd love you to talk about your business evolution. Because you're, is it year 3 now for the brand mapping method?
No, it's like been a year and a half.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. It's launched 3 maybe, but only a year and a half. So you've had in a short
Yeah.
period lots of growing, lots of visibility. People are loving what you do, and I love your
Yeah.
teaching style. Just as an aside, I think it's one of the reasons why people love what you do. It's not just your content, but you teach very well. And I know because I work in digital marketing, that when we live in this space, we know the language, we're very familiar with it. But for those that are coming into digital environments or doing it themselves,
Mm-hmm.
all the language is confusing, and how to keep it simple so they can start. And you teach, I think, in a way that your methodology and the way to work through it's great, but your explanations are fantastic and it's not overwhelming. So I just wanted to share that. I think that's one of your one of the great things.
Thank
Not that you
you.
make it look good, but you teach really well. So let's just talk about your strategy, or your thinking around your business. What have you been doing and what excites you, and just talk about that
Yeah.
business growth that you've had.
I know it's crazy. And actually, this is the 5th time I'm doing like in a year and a half, it's the 5th time. So I like to go, I think that's like something I love to do, right? It's a big part of why my business is growing so much is because I'm a doer. Like I don't like overanalyze. Like I think about something. If it feels right, I do it. I don't wait. I don't procrastinate because I know that the real value is by actually like I can imagine, I can like hypothesize, I can strategize, but that doesn't really mean much unless you get in there and try it. So I think like for me, that's like my number one like thing that's grown my business so much is like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm trying it. Okay, I like it. I'm going to make changes. So I think that's the number one thing. And then also just like investing, like for me, what excites me in my business right now, I think it's just like little by little, I can invest more into what I like to do and hire other things out. So that's something that's exciting me right now anyway, is like, I remember actually last year, I had this big aha moment because at the time I've been doing like one-on-one design work, and I had invested in courses and programs, but I hadn't really been putting money into advertising my business and that sort of thing. But I had this huge aha moment when I ended up talking to a local startup company here locally, and they were saying how they only spend like $5,000 a month on marketing. I was like, here I am. I don't even want to spend like $200. So at that point, that was such a big aha for me where I realized, okay, you know what? This is already supporting me. This is working. I know what I'm doing. I have confidence in myself, and I'm going to start investing in my business and myself and put the money into it. So that was like another big thing that helped me grow a lot, was being like, you know what, this is it. I know my stuff. I trust myself. And so I'm going to put the money into it. So those are kind of a few things that help me grow.
So you mentioned, because you've mentioned a couple of times, you started networking, and in this instance, you were talking to a brick and mortar, a business and what they would do, or a business and what they were doing. Where have your influences come from the personal side to have belief in yourself? Like, where have you drawn inspiration there? And then where have you drawn support or inspiration from the business practical tools and, getting on with the business?
So where have I got inspiration to like believe in myself personally?
Where do you get where are your resources? Where do you tap into?
Yeah, well, now I just know that I'm a badass. The proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true. Yeah.
So now I can trust myself. But I think before that, I think I'm trying to think. Where do I think once I did that moment where I quit my job, like that changed me. Like, and where I went traveling by myself, like I was like, you know what, I can do this. And this is, especially something like quitting your job is so scary to like 99% of the population. Like people, like that's probably the biggest fear for so many people. And it's like, I did that. I did it and I was okay. I'm going to trust myself from here. So I think it was just like a domino effect after that, where I was like, oh, I can do that. I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
Why not? Why can't I try that? So I think that's for personal. And then for business, what inspires me? There's definitely like some people in the industry who I love to see. I love, oh, in terms of teaching too. So I think it was interesting. You're talking about me being a good teacher. I think that's because I'm such a bad learner myself. Like I'm the person who, like, I remember when I was in school who wouldn't remember anything. Like I couldn't take, like I would be taking notes and I just wouldn't remember any, like couldn't even read my own writing, reading them back. And I had such a hard time in school that I really need to learn a certain way. So when I teach the way that only I could, that's like so concrete and so tangible, because that's the way I learn. So that's something that inspires me, is like, okay, how can I make this work better? Because I've been in that situation where I don't understand. I can understand why it's so, all the technical stuff. Oh my goodness, it's hard to learn. So how can I make it so that it's going to be fun and easy? And what's the mindset that we have to change to make this fun and easy? So I love that. That's like fun strategy for me. So
Yeah, and as you are, you're a good teacher, and I think, the other thing I'm really hearing you say, and this is what we know in the online world and in business, full stop, in this day and age, that when we are of a giving spirit, when we know our customer and we're prepared to try to really put ourselves in their shoes, then we become successful because we give them what they're looking for. And if I look at, because I come from a corporate background, constantly in marketing, we're saying, understand our customer, market to the customer, but we don't get to the same level like I see in internet marketing, where we need to know them really well, but we need to actually really have our heart in the whole thing. We're really thinking about, like you were saying, what did I struggle with? How can I help people? And even though, yes, you'll make money at some point, you actually want to help people. That's what this is about. And people pick up on all of this. They can see it.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Like you actually caring is the best. Like, isn't that amazing? That's the best gift that you can get. Like that makes you so, like, in marketing terms, like that's gold. If you are a caring person, that's amazing. And it's so true. Like, even like after I've done all my courses, I've always, did surveys asking people what needs to be changed. I want to know, like, what can we do better, like, every time, because there's things you just can't, you just assume, you know what I mean? So I want to know, like, tell me what to do, right? Like, there's no ego in it, right? It's just, this is for you. I'm not going to pretend I know all the answers. I'm just going to do the best I can and work with what you have to say.
Yeah.
So,
and in business sense, to think, a year and a half, where you've, what you've put out there and what you've achieved, and even in your own community, which is a big community, the value you're giving, but the business also from an income point of view, that's a short amount of time, what you've achieved in a year and a half. I mean, it really is in any scheme, particularly when we start something and we feel like we're at zero. And like you say, you didn't know where you might end up. It's, good on you. I mean, you're wearing your super cape. You really are. Actually, you're wearing tiara, and you've got you've got your rope of truth. You're doing the whole, superhero thing. You are, looking back, like you say, you feel like a badass, and so you should. So but I think what's great for all of us to remember is that we just have to move forward in faith and follow what we want. And it may not always be about the money for some of us, but doing what feels good for us and what adds value, and using our skills and what excites us is where you can end up where you are today. I mean, you probably, I'm sure, sit there now going, this is pretty flippin' cool. This is good.
I think that all the time. Like, I think about it, I'm like, because especially with my program, I had no intention of doing an e-course.
Yeah.
No intention at all. Just, like, I was talking to a few friends, and they're like, you know what, you should try it. And I'm like, okay, I'll do a 2-day one. That's low commitment. I'll give it a try. We'll see. You know what I mean? So that's like, there was no expectation. And I also want to mention too, I started my program a year and a half ago, but I've been like an entrepreneur for like, I think it's like 6 years. So, and my first business, like, I didn't make any money on that. You know what I mean? Like, I had a booth at the farmer's market, and, I just learned, and, at that point I could have just quit and said, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, entrepreneurship isn't for me. But no, it was fun. I got to learn so much just from doing the farmers market, going to networking events, starting a blog, and then doing webinars and doing e-courses. There is all pieces that led up to where I am today. But I think so many times I could have just quit, but because I had the mindset of, okay, this is fun, I'm growing, like, look how much I've grown as a person. You know what I mean? Like, look at my life that I'm creating from doing my business like this. Like, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. All I can say is yes. I just think that's
Hell yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that is the thing. You didn't fall back into into the fear trap of, well, I've got to have a steady pay pack and all that. You just keep saying, but growing is huge. We know that we feel successful when we're growing. That's so important. But you were having fun, and this was right for you. This was your journey, and you had sold out to it, and this was it. And so, but like you say, yes, success wasn't immediate, but you kept at it, and life felt good, and now you're being rewarded. So it's really good. So let's talk let's talk about the brand mapping method. Let's share that with those that are, going to watch this, that are interested in creating their own website and getting online, and maybe have either, thinking about it or have started and learned what I learned, that it's actually, you can do okay, but it's not that easy. And so why don't you share, first of all, what the brand mapping method is, and then I can talk about my experience, because I did do your course last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a 3-week course where I teach step by step how to design your website and brand. And it's really about creating emotional connection with people on how to represent really who you are. Because I think the problem that I see a lot is that people are so in comparison about other people's big brand websites. And so again, it's that fear, right? They're so in fear about other, like, oh, I have to be that. I have to be that to be professional. Or they're totally in perfectionist mode, where they're designing for months and months, lost on Pinterest, and then next thing they know, they're ready to launch and they hate it and they redesign the whole thing again. So there's this huge fear cycle that's going on with so many people. And what happens is they just don't get their websites done. They are not up. They're not and then if they do have something up, they're not proud enough to share it. They don't want to share it in Facebook groups and stuff like that. So I really feel like the value in this is you create a website that you actually love being around. You don't close your eyes when you go on your blog. And you have a website you love attracts the right people. You know what I mean? So you start attracting people who don't try to work down your prices, or you know what I mean? Whenever I hear that, I think you just don't have a website that reflects the true you. So you have a website that attracts dream clients that send you love notes in the mail, and it just feels good to you. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if I just talk just briefly about, my experience with doing the course last year, because I know I was someone who was really proud. I, on a New Year's Day thought, this is it. I need to get online and start blogging. I need to take action. And so I remember setting up my WordPress site, using the theme of that year. And it was not a bad theme. It looked okay, but it didn't feel like me. I didn't have a brand strategy, if I'm going to talk my corporate language. And the interesting thing is, when I look at it, I come out of, like I say, a very structured environment. I help people build websites. I know the process, but did I do it for me? No. It's really hard, I think, sometimes to apply some of those things to yourself, but also, like you say, having something out there that feels like you. So I can remember thinking, I don't know, you get into WordPress and you can get stuck down a rabbit hole, and then you're having technology issues, and you just it distracts you from the business. And I think that's one thing. But I remember doing your course, and I wasn't able to do it during the day as much as some people, because you do it over 3 weeks. And that's one reason why I do like it, is that in a very quick time, you can learn a lot, apply it, and be done. And I'm just commenting this because I've got a friend right now who's about to do your course, and she's about to travel. Yeah, and I'm really excited for her. So she's about to travel, and she was saying, well, I can't do it right now in that 3 weeks. And I said, doesn't matter. You could split it in two and do the design part and the, figuring out who your audience is, and then do the building part later. But the energy and the learnings you'll get in that moment will still be valuable, because you will still be able to do it very quickly. So I know, just going back to my story, what I did love is that, yes, in a very short time, you have a clear strategy of what you want your look and feel to be. You make it happen, but there's a lot of other great things. So everything we do online, so if we look at our social media postings, all of our other imagery, all of that, then you sort of know how you would like it to be, and you know how to create it. So a lot of the thinking's been done, and life just gets a lot easier. But more importantly, you feel it's congruent. Who I'm being visually is who I want to be and who I want to attract. And I think there's another side to it that, yes, we should not wait for perfection to get started. That is a definite thing. But in this day and age, people are attracted to who they resonate with online. And a lot of that's through our visual fluency, what they see and then what they read. And that's why having something that at least feels like you and therefore will attract people that are attracted to you is so powerful online. It's an important, I think, thing to get right. And I think, your like I say, your teaching is very good. So for those that really, like I said, I'm a marketer and I learned so much. So for somebody who has never done it, it's the best place to start. I mean, you're not going to waste all this time and energy figuring it out on your own. And you are so engaged in that community as people are asking for help in the Facebook group during the program and afterwards. You're right there answering it in a really clear way, so people are learning and loving it. They're having fun.
I know, I love it. Like, that's my favorite part. It's just like, ooh, like seeing what people are doing, seeing their designs. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I love it, because that's like my full-time job when the course is going on. I'm like, I'm here with you. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
but it's like this, like you say, it's fun to see. Even I enjoyed seeing other people's designs that I knew weren't my look and feel, but I loved seeing what they were creating. And even if I got a little thing from that I could bring into mine, it's really fun. You're right. When you figure out your look and feel based on who your audience is and who you are, and it's fun. It's good.
It's fun.
It's really good. And we don't want to put work out there that we're embarrassed by. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we don't want to be embarrassed.
Exactly. You got to feel good about it. Like, that's the number one thing.
Yeah. And you don't want to be in business, in anything we do. We don't want to say, well, here's my business card, but it's not finished yet. Or here's my website, but I'm still working. That doesn't create good authority as what you do, because it detracts from what you're offering.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. There's a beautiful middle ground, and that's what happens in the brand mapping method, where it all comes together very nicely.
Yeah, and you like I say, your methodology, like when you go into the e-course and you hold our hand through the modules, they're not painful to do. I've got to say, I've signed up for a lot of courses, and they've been really good courses, but I've not felt this pull to do everything in sequence and to complete the whole thing. And I completed your course and I got my website up, and that to me is the value of it. It's not just that you learn a lot and it's a great community, but you get a solid output from it.
All about the outcome, right?
It is. It's why you're doing it. So
So
just for those that are getting online or have been online for a while and don't love their website, just describe who the ideal person is that should be doing the brand mapping method.
Yeah. So if you're somebody who feels like, either one, you don't have your website up yet and you're just been trying for like months and months and you're just totally frustrated, or if you're someone who has something up, but it doesn't, it's there. Maybe some people have even worked with designers before, but it still kind of feels off. Anybody who is kind of between those two pillars, like, that's usually where the goal, like the magic happens, is where if you're just kind of like, you can't put your finger on it. It's like, you can't put your finger on it, but that it's not right. It's not right. And that's what I love. I feel like that's like one of my gifts. I'm like, I use intuition. We talked about intuition. Like, I show you how to use your intuition to create that feeling on your website. So when you go on it, you feel like it's like your cozy space online, and your dream clients are like this is one of my favorite reactions people get, is like, oh my God, like, I don't know why, but I love your website. Like, I love your website. I love you. And you just feel, you feel so like warm and whatever. So that's what I love to hear is when people get the feeling of you through your website. So if you're totally stuck on that piece and something feels a little off. Or if you're stuck on the tech too, like I have so many tech trainings, it's great. That's another thing too. I think it's a nice balance between like creating, emotional connection, and then I've got you covered. I have so many step-by-step tech trainings, like over 50 in the course, where you can there's a new searchable library, which is really exciting, where you can just like look up. So say if you want to do gold foil, font or whatever, you just look it up and there's a video right there. Or if you want to know how to add fonts to your website, it's right there. So I kind of cover I think that's what gets people stuck, is the tech part, spending hours on YouTube trying to find tutorials. So I have all the tech part, plus I'm going to help you find that foundation for everything in your brand.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because the tech, when you're first learning, you can learn it, but when you're getting it from different sources, it takes so long. You've got to verify is the source good.
Confusing, right?
And so, yeah, that's where, and so it's fantastic. And lifetime access, because I know for me, you keep putting more content in there, and I can just jump in there. I have my one place to go, and even though I've got a lot of knowledge now, you don't know everything. There's so much always still going on, or that you realize you want to evolve and add in. So
yeah, I have people too in it who go back when they do an e-course or a program. They're like, oh, I'm going to do the brand mapping method for my new program, and they'll go through it again. They're like, oh, this will be fun, and they create their brand map and everything. So you can use it for like multiple businesses, even if you're like a product-based business owner. Like you can use it for so many things.
Yeah, and I will be doing that because I am going to be working this year on my e-course. So absolutely,
nice.
and it's good because I feel really confident knowing that I have this resource to fall back on, and I don't need to worry about that, because I'll just follow, like you say, the brand. I'll create my brand map and I'll follow what I know I need to do, and all the tools are there.
Yeah,
so
it's your map.
It's my map, and I love it. So it's really good. So fantastic. Now, is there anything else from the brand mapping method you'd like to share before we do a little bit of a wrap up?
Yeah, well, like I said, this is my fifth launch since I have started it, but it is actually the only time that I'm doing it in 2016. So the next one's actually not going to be till next April. So if you do want to sign up, it's sort of the last chance till a whole another year. And if you want to get your website done, it's definitely something you want to grab.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would back that up. Like I say, I've just had a girlfriend sign up, and that's what I said to her. She's just done her website. If you don't grab it now, you're going to, I guarantee by this time next year, you'll be wanting to do the course because you won't be happy with your website. And so she has signed up for exactly that reason. So I would endorse that if people are thinking, should I do it or not? And the reality is you are getting, you're offering more and more, and you're getting more and more people interested. So your pricing will go up again next year. So
yeah, it always goes up.
It goes up. So if people are thinking this year, if they're on the fence, then they should take action, back themselves, and make a decision and go for it. So absolutely. Yes. Fantastic. So thank you, Sarah. I always love, we've chatted a couple of times, but I've watched a lot of your webinars, and I just love interacting with you. So if you're going to finish off with one piece of advice for someone who's feeling like they haven't yet living their super life and they need to design it, what would you be saying they need to do to make it happen, to feel like it's happening for them?
Yeah, I think I would just think about what is one thing that kind of scares you right now, like that feels really out of your comfort zone, and just check in with yourself and think, okay, is this fear holding me back from this, or what's holding me back? And if it is just fear, what step can you take right now, within the next week, where you can take one step towards that? Because if it's just fear holding you back, I guarantee when you leap, you're always caught when you do something brave like that. So
yeah, absolutely. That's good advice. Fantastic. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Tania. I just want to thank you so much. This is such a fun interview, and I'm just honored to be interviewed by you.
Thank you.